You're live. Woo. Hello everybody. This is Catherine Toon, and I just wanted to welcome you to Global Online Ministry Alliance. And this is just a group of us with a heart in common to share the passionate love of God for the entire world. How many of you know that love is transformative? And so that this really ties into my topic today. I've been kind of getting blasted with Holy Spirit these last couple days, which is awesome. He's always available and there to help upgrade us. So the title of this is called Clarity and Transcendence in the Struggle. Good morning. Let me see if I can grab who all is on, because I don't get the names of everybody. So anyway, so glad you joined, and I wish I knew your name. Sorry. Oh, okay. So we're talking about clarity and transcendence, right? So I wanted to dive in a little bit to what the Apostle Paul was talking about as the main thing. And this is not going to be a shocker, but it is going to be life-giving. How many of you know it's not always, how many of you gone back to a place maybe that you've meditated on or studied on, or a scripture that you've read a lot and you've been like, yeah, that was great, but then, I already know that one. Well, yes and no, because the thing is, there's always something greater. There's always a greater revelation, because guess what? As scripture points to the person of Christ, to Jesus, who is love, it'll blast you. It is life-giving, and you get fresh wind underneath your sails, right? Oh, hi, Raymond. Okay, good morning, Raymond. Thank you for clarifying. I can't get all my my channels on the chat room. It's kind of weird. But so let's go to 1 Corinthians 12, and I'm going to read verse 27 starting, and then skip to verse 29, not that, just for brevity's sake. It says, "You are the body of the Anointed One, and each one of you is a unique and vital part." So you are the body of Christ. You are the body of the person of love. You are the body of the Anointed One and his anointing, which is the burden removing, yoke destroying power. We get to be anointed for something, for a purpose, and it breaks off everything that is standing in the way of that. And going on to verse 29, it says, "Not everyone is an apostle, prophet, or teacher." So, it was great for, there was a season where this was a really big thing about the prophetic was booming, and then the apostolic was booming. And guess what? That is awesome. We need the prophetic and the apostolic. But it's not everything, right? And it says, "Not everyone performs miracles or has gifts of healing or speaks in tongues or interprets tongues." So in the place where we have these gifts, they're huge and they're important, but it's not the main shing-ding thing, okay? So it says, "But you should all constantly boil over with passion and seeking the higher gifts." So the higher gifts are there to help the body. How many of you have received a prophetic word from anyone? And it was like, oh, I needed that. See, that was God speaking through someone to heal or enlighten or just build you up or encourage you, exhort you, empower you. And that is amazing. And so, yes, let's desire those. But then he says, "And now I will show you a superior way to live that is beyond comparison." Okay, so with all that is a big yes, okay? And there's more, right? Good morning, Cheryl. Good to see you. So, the notes on it say, "or a path corresponding to transcendence." Now, I don't want anybody to start to freak out with the transcendent word. I know we have have transcendental meditation, and that can link you to some things that you don't get linked to. But how do you know is God is a transcendent God? He is above all, he's in all, he is above all, he undergirds all, he's in all, it's all about him. So he gets the all. So he is transcendent. It's a great word. So let's go on to the next chapter. Remember when scripture was written, it didn't have chapter and verse. So a lot of times we end and we think the thought is gone, and he's just continuing in the next chapter. So go on to 1 Corinthians 13. I'm going to skip down to verse 9. It says our present knowledge and prophecies are but partial. So we have partial knowledge, and the prophetic is partial. And you know what? Let me say, the partial is awesome. Partake of the partial. But there's more. So you get that, and isn't that amazing? It says in verse 12, for now we see but a faint reflections of the riddles and mysteries, the word for that is the enigma, as reflected in a mirror. So it's one step away, but one day we will see face to face. Now that word face to face has this amazing meaning. It's not just face to face. It is actually even more intimate. And says Paul is referring to God speaking to Moses face to face, right? But in the Hebrew, do you have any idea what that means? Oh my goodness, I don't want to freak anybody out, but mouth to mouth. So who is the one that breathes his life into us, mouth to mouth, right? He's the Ruach, or actually I'd say she's the Ruach, because that's a feminine noun, right? Holy Spirit is breathed in our very being, mouth to mouth. Isn't that amazing? And that brings about the idea of mouth to mouth resuscitation. How many of you need to be resuscitated? How many of you are feeling a little weak and weary and whatever? You just need that mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to revive and stir life in the place where you grow weary, right? We got a lot smacking at us, and you may be doing fine, but some of us, we don't even realize how much we get worn down, right? And it says transforming love will bring us all face to face, mouth to mouth with God. Hallelujah. Now, let me just say this. It's even more intimate with that because God is in us. But when you're encountering God, you can go inside and encounter God, but there's also value in encountering him mouth to mouth, face to face, externally, because guess what? He's in, he's out, he's everywhere. You can't shame God down. And it's that encounter with whatever you are needing. God is so great. He will manifest however you need him. So if you've been hurt by a certain person, a certain race, or a certain gender, or whatever that is, he'll just, okay, we don't even have to do that. I will minister to you like that. I remember in dealing with some children with sexual abuse, where they couldn't handle God really as an adult, so God appeared to them as a tiger, and that totally ministered, that healed their hearts. He will do whatever. Jesus said, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Learn of me, for I'm meek, humble, lowly at heart, and I will give you rest. So that's that meekness, that power under control, because he's got phenomenal cosmic power, but he stoops as low as he needs to go, or as low as she needs to go, to undergird and lift up. Right? And I don't want anybody to freak out about the she. The she, the word ruach is the word Holy Spirit, and that's a feminine. So guess what? God is both. And I say that in particular because sometimes your pain point may be that everything with God is represented as a male, and that's actually not accurate. Okay. So I'm not going to go off on anything. My point being, he, she will meet you any way you want. Listen, if he will present himself as a tiger, well, he is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. I get it. But these are prophetic similars. He's saying, what is that in my creation that I have created that actually reflects me, that can minister to you? Yeah, I'll do that. That'll work. That works for me. God is so amazing. He is love. Let's keep on going because this is, oh my goodness, so good. Okay. I interrupted myself because I had to bring out that point. So it's actually an interruption by design. But let me get back to my spot here. It says, I'll just go back to verse 12 to get us back in the same thought process. For now we see but a faint reflection of riddles and mysteries as though reflected in a mirror, but one day we will see face to face. Remember that was the face to face or mouth to mouth, right? My understanding, this is Paul, is incomplete now, okay? But one day I will understand everything. One day we will understand everything, just as everything about me has been fully understood. Let me say this. God understands you. God gets you. Have you ever looked at yourself and been baffled? I'm like, I don't get myself, right? Uh, and that's okay, but he gets you. God gets you. That's why he can appear as a tiger. Why? Because that will minister to that place. Maybe that's the only way God feels safe. Okay, if you've been harmed by people in authority, right? So God will, he is so humble. It's like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, no problem. I will do that. You see, God knows in our areas of darkness, he is deeper than all of our pain that we are not even connecting with. He's deeper still. And he's there to undergird it. He's the everlasting arms of love are bridging that to lift you up, and he knows what you need. That's why him getting you is so important, because in our areas of pain, in our areas of confusion, in our areas of, oh my goodness, I will say it, sin, all of those are brokenness, right? God is like, I get you, and this is what you need for that. See, this is why I have such confidence in God, because, you know, in doing so much coaching that I do, I'm like, so many times I'm baffled. I'm like, yeah, that, yeah, yeah. And so, but God is never at a loss. He's masterful. It says, until then, there are three things that remain. Verse 13, faith, hope, and love, yet love surpasses them all. Hi, Teddy. Yes, and it is a comfort to know God knows us and loves us unconditionally. He knows us so intimately. And this is why we can have so much confidence in our love, in his love, is because we are so known. We're known way past the brokenness, way past the ugly parts of us, way past our sin, way past how we harmed one another, way past corruption and defilement, way past our abilities or our lack of abilities, way past our gifts and talents, way past our capacity to do and be anything in and of ourselves. And in that place, we are adored. We've been marked by love before we were marred by anything else. Yes? Okay, so above all else, let love be the beautiful prize for which you run. You see, love is transcendent. Love doesn't need translation. Hi from Tampa, Terry, good to see you. Love doesn't need translation. Love is just, it's what happens, it's the frequency of love starts to resonate with the frequency of love that you've already been created in that image and likeness inside you. It's like a tuning fork. How many of you know what a tuning fork is? Well, a tuning fork is, you know, I played the violin, and so you hit the tuning fork for a perfect, I believe it's an A, and you place it on your violin, and it starts to resonate, and then you can tune your string so that when it hits that exact same tension to create that frequency, it automatically resonates and plays it without you touching anything. And so that resonance, the resonant frequency of love is what we are created for and what creation was created for. That's when the sons and daughters of God are being unveiled or being manifested, then creation is released in resonance with love from its bondage. And we start, and we're able to experience what was designed for us. It's mind blowing in the best sense of the word. So in the place where there's so much confusion, and you know, I remember being in ministry, and then we'd have the flavor of the day of what we were doing. Yes, we're prophetic, and the answer was yes, we are. And then we're about worship, and yes, yes, we are. And then we're about the apostolic, and yes, yes, we are. And then we're about inner healing, and yes, yes, we are. We were all these different things, and I was like, oh my God. And the truth is, we got to be all of that. We got to experience all of it. But the one thing that will never be a fad, the one thing that will never be the latest flavor, is the issue of love, because love is a person. Love is a person. And I know right now we're very, very much about justice. That's a big thing with all the racial tensions. And you know what? That's a manifestation of love, but it's not greater than love. And so while we need to focus on certain things in certain seasons because things are wrong, things are out of kilter, things need to be adjusted, all of those different things. Maybe there's some ugly things in us that need to be rooted out. All of that, maybe there are some definite actions we need to take. All of that, but that only gels and only works as it's a manifestation of love itself. Because if you take justice in and of itself without love, you become the tyrant that you were tyrannized with. And this is just human capacity. This is, and that's just a thing because, sometimes, well, truth is it. Well, truth is a person, so that's actually hugely important. But truth will always look like love. So you never beat each other up with truth, and you don't beat each other up with justice. Why? Because love would be violated. So love surpasses it all. So really the question is what does love look like here? What does love look like here? What does love look like with a hurting? What does love look like with brokenness? What does love look like with sin? What does love look like with poverty? What does love look like with sickness and disease? What does love look like with oppression and bondage? What does love look like in politics? What does love look like? Yeah, I said it. What does love look? And I'm not endorsing one particular candidate or not another. So just so you know, what does love look like in everything you do in raising kids, right? It's all about love. You see, when you start off from the right starting point, God is able to move you and mold you. And the thing is, it's not going to look like the same all the time. Hi, Mary. That's why formulas do not work. Okay. And so we're given these gifts. We're given the prophetic. Hallelujah. I can just oh, thank you. I just needed that. Thank you. A word in season, right? And sometimes love looks like the apostolic. We're going out and we're planting and we're bringing the blueprints of heaven to people at large. And then sometimes love looks like getting your heart healed. And sometimes love looks like getting really good teaching so we understand and get our head around what the heck is this meaning and what does it look like? And sometimes love looks like feeding the poor. And sometimes love looks like rescuing a child out of, the sex trade industry. Sometimes love looks like many things. Sometimes love looks like getting a good night's sleep and a good meal. It looks like self-care and self-nurture. You see, the thing is, it's always going to look like something, but because we're sons and daughters of God, we're led by the Spirit of God. We're led by the Spirit of God. Sometimes love will look like speaking up for the oppressed. Yeah. Sometimes love will look like taking a certain stance. And sometimes love will be donating money and donating your resources and donating your time. And sometimes love will look like not doing that. And sometimes love will look like whatever it looks like, because that is the transcendent reality, because that's a person that you're one with, that you look just like, that you're face to face, mouth to mouth with. Right? That you and him and her are one, and that we get to be one. Okay? So all of that. So love doesn't look like a particular race, which is kind of silly because we're all the human race, but ethnic group, we'll say that. The Bible speaks of nationalities, nations, and tongues, right? Love looks like all of that, and it looks really different. Isn't it beautiful? And we can glory in one another and rejoice in one another and rejoice in diversity. That's not a cuss word. That's not a license to sin, by the way. It's just enjoying the fact that you and I are different and we're both amazing. And we both get to champion one another and love one another. And you know what? When one is oppressed, then the people that aren't oppressed can lift them up. That's a beautiful thing. That's a God thing. That is a God thing. Right? it'll look like a lot of different things, right? So above all else, let love be the beautiful prize for which you run. That actually should have been capitalized because the beautiful prize is Christ, for whom we run. See, you're running because you're adored, because you're already an adored son and daughter. Let me say this, every place where you're having a hard time connecting with the truth that you are adored, not just liked, but liked is good, okay? But when you connect with the fact that you're adored, if there's a pain point in your life that is lack, that is oppression, that is confusion, that is a sin, okay? That is a fallen way of being, right? All of that. Well, God has an answer for that. He is the answer, but he has practical answers too. When you're just confused and need direction and guidance. Well, how I was watching my husband, and my sweetheart's on today. Hi, Brian. I was watching my husband yesterday, and he was teaching Robert how to mow the lawn. Now, Robert's 16, but with the autism piece, we're just careful that we give him projects that are safe, that he can learn, that are not going to frustrate him, and that he can be successful at. He did great, by the way. But I saw the way Brian came alongside Robert and was helping him and coaching him and letting him do, but helping him and coaching him and, supporting him and encouraging him and correcting him. And I thought, what a gorgeous picture of God, right? Because he's the one that comes alongside. One of the words for Holy Spirit is the word ruach. Sorry, it is the word ruach. Sorry, that's a Hebrew. That's female. That's not what I meant to say, though. That's a feminine noun, by the way. So, which is why God is male and female. He, she just is, right? So, for all of you ladies that may have felt somehow less than, like I have to stand behind the guys because God is male. So apparently the guys get an inner thing. No, we all get that. We're all in his image. Isn't that amazing? So just a little thing for all you ladies who that may have been a pain point for you. I was saying something and it was really good. Oh, now I remember. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So Brian was coming alongside Robert and encouraging and empowering and correcting and guiding and keeping safe and all those things. That's the word. That brings reminiscence of the word paraclete, which is Greek to stand beside, the God who stands beside you. How many of you felt like you needed someone to stand beside you? How many of you felt there have been areas of injustice where you felt like God needs to stand beside you? Where are you, God? Well, I'm right here. I'm standing beside you. Because part of his gospel is freedom for the oppressed, whatever that looks like, right? And so he's a stand beside, or she's a stand beside, however you want to term that. And that's an amazing thing. So in the place where we're having a hard time seeing and a hard time believing, we've gotten pounded in finances and pounded, like many of you, right? I'll get to your answer in a second, Mary. In that place where he's standing beside, he gets to minister to your heart so that you can receive. Because if love is the transcendent thing, then it's really about what love does to serve and then how he causes us in that to serve others. Let me see, Mary, what you have. I have a question. Why we need a word called the faith to feel loved from God? Why we just know 100 that we are loved by him every day? Maybe because we are still on the earth. Oh, why do we need faith to feel loved? Well, part of that, and I'm not sure this is a complete answer, but would be my take on it, Mary. We need faith to feel that love is because we don't see God with our natural eyes. One of the things when Adam and Eve, and she wasn't called Eve at the time, by the way, but she was called the woman, later named Eve by Adam, okay, which was an issue, but I'll bring that another time. So in the place where Adam fell and the woman fell, right, The word says that their eyes were opened. The problem was it was their natural eyes that were opened and their spiritual eyes that became blinded. And so in the place where we have natural eyes, thank you, sweetheart, we have natural eyes that tend to focus on the fallenness of the world around us. There's a whole lot of hurt going on. And if you're stared at that hurt for too long, it will bring you down, 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 down. We need to be very careful what we stare at because we'll start to feel overcome by it, right? That's why Jesus says we need to look on things that are above. Right? We're to look at the things which are not seen, but the unseen, because the things that are seen are temporal, or temporary, but the things that are unseen are eternal. And so it's the eyes of faith that actually see God that help us see that we are adored. But let me say this, the more you look, let me help you with that, okay? Let's get some help for that, right? Because the more we look, this is the word, the more we see. In other words, the more we look at God, turn our attentions to it. And I get not everybody is a visual connector. That's not their primary thing. So it's a look in. So some people are thinkers, feelers, sensors, hearers. The more we turn our affection and our hearts to God and continue that gaze, the more we're literally unveiled, transformed, and our hearts get to be healed. Right? So God gets to be, Holy Spirit gets to be the convincer, the convictor, right? Convicting us of everything that is not of love's kind. That's a lie. Okay. That may be a fallen way of being or a sinful way of being. Yeah. So you're right, Teddy. Prayer is a way to refocus on God every day. Now, let me say this about prayer. Prayer is not a discipline to get you brownie points with God because you're trying to connect to God. No, we're trying to get past our own blindness. Okay. We're trying to get past our own pain. That's a great point, Teddy. But I don't want people to feel like, well, I got to jump through these hoops to get to God. Oh, let me just help you. Can I just help you here? Because I'm just so happy about this. God jumped through every hoop to get to us because literally we could not help ourselves. That is the whole point of the cross. That is the whole point of the lamb slain before the foundation of the world, because God could not leave his kids alone in this fallen way of being that couldn't see him, because the ultimate lie was that we are separate. But God, who is love and transcends all that, saying, I'm going to become my kids. I'm going to become human so I can have the right and the ability to crawl into the abject hell in their souls, right? And fallenness to lift them up in their blindness, where they don't even know to cry out to me. When I suddenly look like an enemy, I look like someone to be feared. I look like a taskmaster. I look like the abuser, okay, rather than the healer, the deliverer, the paraclete, rather than love. That's totally safe, because perfect love casts out fear. Right? That's why God appears to us how we need him to appear, because that's what ministers to our hearts. Thank you, Mary. That's so sweet. I appreciate that. So, Mary, that's what I would say is that why we need faith to connect to God, because we're kind of trapped in our natural senses. But that's okay. It's overcomable. Put it that way, because God is in us, and he's constantly. God is all the while. Oh my goodness, let's get happy. You know, I mean, that's not a command, by the way. I hate that when they do that in church. Everybody get excited. It's like, I'm really not excited, but I'm going to act excited. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just ministering happy to you, so you can join in the happy and we can just be happy together. How's that? Okay. Philippians 2:13. God is all the while effectually at work in us, energizing us the power and desire to will and to work for his good pleasure, satisfaction, and delight. And that is what is his delight? What is his good pleasure, satisfaction, and delight? Well, it's having life more abundantly to the full till it overflows, that it's for freedom, that Christ set us free, that he has come to heal the brokenhearted and release the captive from prison, to release us from bondage, to unveil his glorious kids, that they've already been chosen, and those he chose he justified, and those he justified he glorified. So it's releasing the glory in us, the glory of us, because we're in his image and likeness. We are not God, but we are as God, little g gods, because we're of his substance. We were made by him, right? And so we get to be unveiled and then release all of that inside us. And that's why it's so important for you to be unveiled, because you're a flavor of God on the earth that the earth is starving for. Oh, don't you know that when you flow in the anointing that God has given you, you set people free. And maybe that's just by smiling at them. Maybe that's just by being kind, small acts of kindness. Maybe that's by listening to someone. Maybe that's by paying for their lunch or paying for their college. I vote for that, by the way. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry, I just couldn't help myself. Okay. Next. Okay, so above all else, let love be the beautiful prize for which you run. Is transcendent. Hi, Derek. How are you? My man, he's awesome. So let love be the prize for which you run, the beautiful prize. That is the motivator, and that is the expression that is needed. Since the sons and daughters of God are led by the Spirit of God in you, okay, we're not waiting for him to drop from heaven. We're not praying so the Spirit will come. I'm sorry, I just have such a low tolerance for that kind of verbiage anymore, because you know what? It accuses God of being separate from his creation. He so loves humanity, he became one. Isn't that amazing? For eternity, there will be one member of the Godhead that is human. And that is so incredible. So we run for love. That is the motive. And let me tell you, God is the one to reveal to us what that looks like. Listen, we are in cray-cray times, I think, but I think we can take advantage. Let's take advantage of the cray-cray times, because let me say, people are hurting. People need voices. Justice needs to happen, right? There's something inside us that's so eternal and so transcendent that, it's all hands on deck. All hands on deck. Why? Because love needs to be expressed more than ever before, because the times are crazier. But that is the time when, let me say this, the church can shine. And let me say this, the church is just the people that are gods, that have turned to God. God is inside every human being. I mean, I don't want to mess with I kind of do want to mess with some theology here. Help me, Jesus. Because, if God is omnipresent, it would be ridiculous to think, well, I'm not God, I'm omnipresent except for that Buddhist person. Well, no, he's in that Buddhist person. The Buddhist person may be following something that is God and they don't know it. And then there are parts of it that are totally not God and do not follow that bad idea. Okay. And let me say this, that's kind of a level playing ground for all of us. Because we all have stupid, blind things that we're following. The God's like, okay, honey, let me strip that away right there. Let me strip that away from you. They're called idols, okay? And we get jacked up with it. And it's just what it is. It's a level playing ground for humanity. We have this tendency. But God is everywhere. So he's there to awaken his kids, and especially those that already know him. See, if you already know Jesus, and that's what I'm calling the church. I don't want to get all weird about it. So if you already know Jesus, you're uniquely primed to be an answer of love on the earth realm. Now, I have a question for you, because I've kind of brought it up, so I got myself in there. So I'll just wait around a bit and we'll get some goodness out of it. So when I said God is in every human being, well, let me say this. How many of you question? And I know this brings all these salvation issues and things. I don't want to go spinning off into all that, because that's a whole nother discussion. If God is in every single person, how many of you have seen some really mean Christians? Like, they're just mean. They're just really abusive, oppressive, critical. I mean, there can be some really mean Christians. Religious Christians could be really mean. And then you've seen someone who is a Buddhist or something, and they're kind and they shine. And maybe that little part over there is like not feeling that great, but they're just amazing people. They're beautiful people, right? Okay. And I'm not saying, and then there's gorgeous Christians, and there's like nasty non-Christians, followers of Christ. So what is that all about? Well, to the extent that we awaken to the true nature of God and to the true nature of God in us and to our true nature, we're going to exude all that. And, I believe there's a lot of people who are in other religions that are following Christ but don't know they're Christ. And you hear lots of testimonies. I was hearing a testimony the other day of this woman who was an unbeliever, and then she finally went to a church, and the janitor in the church raped her. Okay, this is nasty. So she was like, okay, I'm done with you Christians, right? This is a problem. Okay. But she would every day, she was New Age. And so, so she would wake up and she'd talk to this person every day, and she'd spend hours with this person, and she did this for 20 years. And she would exude love and exude peace and exude all these things. And kind of at the end of 20 years, Jesus revealed himself as the person that she'd been talking to all along, but she couldn't handle it because in her mind frame, Christian looked like the dude that raped her in the church. Okay. And see, that's what I was saying. How humble is God when I said he would come to that little kid who was abused and things and come as a tiger because he couldn't handle an adult form. Okay. That was just like he's too much like his abuser. So he would come as this tiger, and they'd talk and they'd hang out, and he'd feel safe and he'd feel loved and he'd sleep with the tiger, all of that, because that's the capacity that he had. How lovely is God? How lovely is God? That's transcendent. That is transcendent. I believe there's many people that are following Jesus and just don't know it yet. And I think God is so humble. He doesn't always need the credit. Eventually, of course, he'll reveal himself for who he is. But I don't believe, it's the prayer we jump through the hoop to get saved and all that. I believe that's an awakening. It's an awakening to someone who's always been with us. He's always been one with his creation, and he awakens us. That's the blindness. That's why we need faith to be able to partake of that love. Faith works by love. Right? Hi, Carlos. Faith works by love. And so that's that love. That's the transcendent thing. It causes our faith to work so we can see in the unseen realm. And then we can hear. And then we can walk as a son and daughter of God and be led to be answered for all the injustices and to be answers in our way. We don't carry the whole enchilada, okay? But what our part is, what's our part? Well, I'm telling you, I'm very clear about my part. I'm not confused. This is preaching this whole love thing is my mandate. Okay. It just is. But it'll look different in different seasons, and I'll focus on different things in different seasons. Why? Because love is expressed so many different ways. And so the question is, how is love wanting to minister to you as transcendent? And how is love wanting to be expressed through you to be an answer for someone who needs it today? Maybe many people who need it today. Maybe you're called to write a book, or maybe you're called to, do a care package. I don't know what you're called to do. But I know but it comes in many different ways. When I was watching Brian with Robert yesterday, I was like, oh, that's love right there. That is so love. That was healing for me. I didn't come in, with a good fathering. And pray we've got some issues going on there. A lot of abuse there. That just crippled me, fractured me. And so when I see that beautiful fatherly love towards my son, it heals my heart. It's beautiful. And let me say this, and when you're doing stuff like that, people are watching, and it heals their heart. You get to be love in your flavor. You're marked by love to release that mark of love to a lost and dying world that is starving for it, because it's awakening love within them, and it's helping. We can be part of the solution to heal hearts where things need to be healed, right? And we can speak up for those that do not have voices. We can do that, right? And we all have a part to play, and we all get to do that, because that is the transcendent person that we're called to walk empowered by, called to be unveiled and reflected and to reflect, and called to empower and exhort one another. Let me see if there's anything else on the left. So, and that brings clarity. You know, the reason I put clarity and transcendence is because when things get really confusing, let me back up a little bit. One of the best pieces of advice I ever received from anybody was actually from my secretary. I was directing a residency program, so I was a physician, and you know, I was working about 100 hours a week at the time, doing a lot of moonlighting in the ER. I directed a residency program and moonlighting in the ER, and it was around that time that I met my husband. And it was in the time of real massive confusion for me. And part of it was because I still had a lot of brokenness. And part of it is because during that time, oh my goodness, if there was a cult, they would come and like find me. And because I was so hungry for God and didn't really have discernment, I would listen, and then I'd get really confused and oppressed. And it was a season where I was so confused and so oppressed and so condemned because of all this ministry of religious ministry that puts you in bondage, that I was wondering, wow, maybe I can't get married right now. This is not the time. I need to purify myself some more or something. And it really put me in a tailspin just a couple days before my wedding. And one of the best pieces of advice that I received is like, retreat back to what you know. Retreat back to what you know in the midst of, right? And I did. And and the pastor that was getting ready, he said, you know, go read Psalm 139 and all of that. So all these different, so I retreated back and I just meditated. It's like, no, I know God. I know you, God. I know that you miraculously put me and Brian together. And so whatever the other stuff that needs to be cleaned up, this is the man you chose for me. And you chose me for this man. And this is a gift. And I don't need to jump through all these hoops to receive the gift. I just receive it by faith. Like, yes, I'm getting married. Retreat back to what you know. So what is it you know in the midst of, right? We got the COVIDs and the racism and financial uproar and, I mean, election year and everybody, we got pointing fingers and it just craziness. What do you know? What is it you know? See, because that knowledge is actually deep inside. That is you and God. That is the person of love that is transcendent. And that will bring clarity. That will bring peace. That will bring direction. That will bring healing. That will steady you. And that will bring the endurance you need because you're connecting with someone greater than you. You're connecting with who adores you and has all capacity. Anyway, I hope this has been a blessing for you today. Share this with someone who needs it. I love you guys. It's a privilege to talk to you guys. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.